Howdy. After all, it is a decision on which wolves you're feeding. At the moment, there is something going on in the sky. There is some kind of a halo. But I wanted to talk about stones once again. And some recent self-made experiments with rocks and stones. This is copper ore from Outokumpu here in Finland. It might be not the best quality of it, but it is copper ore, which turns red after it has been in the microwave. And that's a picture from the Outokumpu older copper mine, which is not in use anymore. And I was already wondering back then, when I have been there, about this red stuff everywhere. That's really red. It doesn't really look like this in this picture, but it's really red. And we have it also within the rocks down here. And it turned out you can achieve this kind of reddish color in copper rocks or copper bearing rocks with heating them. About 200 degrees and sulfur starts to get liquid, and it also turns red. I still haven't really figured out what's this red stuff. Is it sulfur dioxide or something? I don't know. But if we assume that there has been events in the past where the earth or the ground and many other things got heated up very much, and furthermore, if you take into account that probably most of those events were some kind of electrical discharge events, either from ground to heaven, from heaven to ground, or within the ground, indigenous or telluric currents, induced energy. It could have turned this copper-bearing rock red within the ground just by heating it, induced currents. There's something like, in a way, like I did in the microwave. Copper is a chemical element with the symbol Cu and atomic number 29. It is a soft, malleable and ductile metal with very high thermal and electrical conductivity. A freshly exposed surface of pure copper has pinkish-orange color. Copper is used as a conductor of heat and electricity, as a building material and as a constituent of various metal alloys, such as sterling silver used in jewelry, copper and nickel used to make marine hardware and coins, and constantan used in strain gauges and thermocouples for temperature measurement. So, that's something I found very interesting. In the Roman era, copper was mined principally from Cyprus, the origin of the name of the metal, from Cyprium, metal of Cyprus. Later corrupted to coprum, Latin. Copper, Old English, and copper were derived from this, the later spelling first used around 1530. So, Cyprus, which is here. This might be a copper statue here. The sea people. Yeah, this is Cyprus as we know it. I haven't been to Cyprus. Maybe I have. Check it out. There's like caves and stuff. Calcareous. This looks like limestone. There's limestone all over the place. But anyway, no, I haven't been in Cyprus. And I think those people on the island, they are very happy because they can fight with each other all the time. But not too far from Cyprus, we have, let's put away those pictures there. We have places like the West Bank and Jerusalem and stuff like that. Which I find very interesting. Because they are very historical places and the origin of some religions, or however you want to put it. Fire and brimstone, which is sulfur. Sulfur. Sulfur is the 10th most abundant element by mass in the universe and the 5th most on Earth. Though sometimes found in pure native form, sulfur on Earth usually occurs as sulfide and sulfide minerals. Being abundant in native form, sulfur was known in ancient times, being mentioned for its uses in ancient India, ancient Greece, China, and ancient Egypt. Historically and literally, sulfur is also called brimstone, which means burning stone. So back to the fire and brimstone. This is an idiomatic expression referring to God's wrath found in both the Hebrew Bible and the Christian New Testament. In the Bible, it often appears in reference to the fate of the unfaithful. Brimstone, in archaic term, synonymous with sulfur, evokes the acrid odor of sulfur dioxide given off by lightning strikes. Lightning was understood as a divine punishment by many ancient religions. The association of sulfur with divine retribution is common in the Bible. The idiomatic English translation of fire and brimstone is found in the Christian King James Version translation of the Hebrew Bible and was later used in the 1917 translation of the Jewish Publication Society. The 1857 Leeser translation of the Tanakh inconsistently uses both sulfur and brimstone to translate whatever that means. The translation used by the 1985 new GPS is sulfurous fire, while the 1978 Christian New International Version translation uses burning sulfur. Lot and his family free from Sodom. Smoke rising from a volcano, which the phrase fire and brimstone is intended to evoke. And the streams thereof shall be turned into pitch, and the dust thereof into brimstone, and the land thereof shall become burning pitch. And I will plead against him with pestilence and with blood, and I will cause to rain upon him, and upon his hands, and upon the many peoples that are with him, an overflowing shower, and great hailstones, fire and brimstone. They shall dwell in his tent, that which is none of his. Brimstone shall be scattered upon his habitation. In Christianity. But the same day the Lord went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire, and of jacinth, and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. Hence, they're talking about dragons. In other words, The sulfur they're talking about, as they said before, is not coming from the ground, even though it is very often associated with volcanic activity. Some time ago, I made this picture because there has been news in Switzerland that there will be blood rain. I also made this little collage here. We have Slayer with raining blood cover. We have several archetypes and patterns which are repeating over and over again. And it's all about Venus. Or in other cultures called Kali. Santa Claus is representing Venus. The devil with its horns is representing Venus as well. In my first paper I ever wrote, which got published, here again, dragons, as we have just read in the Bible. A small map, there is no plate boundary going through Finland. Here are some metamorphic rock and other maps of Finland. And in the paper I also talk quite much about copper. And I have some self-made pictures in here. They are made really sketchy, but they are made with a cell phone and made by myself. So I don't care. Yeah, there are many professionals out there in the world who could do this much better than I do. But at least I did something like this. But anyway, we have craters, which might indicate that there is something in the past we might not, or the mainstream probably doesn't understand too much about. Craters of all sizes, like that's from the plasma rock site here. For this case I choose to take a black and white picture, but I have color pictures and it somehow looks really much like the Richard structure in Mauritania, Africa. We have molten metal on top of rocks, razorbacks. We have the magnetic anomaly, surface conductivity anomaly. And as you can see, Outokumpu is here, the plasma rock site is here, we have a copper mine, and we have another copper mine, and we have this surface conductivity anomaly, which has very much similarities with the polar cusps of Earth in its structure. So this might indicate that there has been once flowing very much energy through Earth's mantle. It might have created part of the rocks here, if not all. At least to some extent. Of course, they were created and then afterwards there have been thousands of years of erosion taking place. But the erosion doesn't create the rocks, it rather destroys them. And somehow I think it could be that this kind of induced currents and stuff like that, lightning in the heavens, there might have been so much lightning in the heavens that there has like some kind of an accumulation of sulfur going on in the skies just by lightning. But also if the Earth's crust gets really hot through to induced currents, there might be some sulfur evaporation going on. And if it gets warm enough, it needs somewhat 200 degrees. And here on the left side, I cannot really zoom in on it anymore because it would destroy the picture. But we are watching at the pictures. As a solid, sulfur is a characteristic lemon yellow. When burned, sulfur melts into a blood red liquid and emits a blue flame. For example, Aurora Borealis, they are many thousands degrees hot. The Steve phenomena, I don't remember what's the name, the whole name of the Steve phenomena. Something thermal heat emission, I don't know. Anyway, it can be some 10,000 degrees. And if you think the atmosphere would be full of sulfur, of origin, like just if it's volcanic, like, or from the ground evaporating through to heat-induced current stuff, it's in the air. And there would be very much geomagnetic activity, so we would get very low auroras and stuff, so it would heat up the sulfur so much that it would turn red. And therefore it would raining blood. And you know this sign like metal dudes make, the horns? I think it's representing the polar configuration. The thumb is Mars, that's Venus, and that's Saturn. And on the shirt I was wearing at the moment of taking this picture, we have similarities with plasma instabilities and instabilities, which are this kind of grandma clothing style. So if you go the next time into a flea shop, watch out for these kind of clothes. They are very interesting, I tell you. So, I didn't know that Cyprus is the origin of the name copper and that there has been, or maybe still is, quite a lot of copper, which might just increase the activity. We are very close to Jerusalem and Israel and places like this. We are also very close to the earthquake activity which is going on in Turkey, and also the rivers of Babylon. And there seems to be some kind of panic in Babylon at the moment. Babylon is on fire. Maybe I will find some map about metal occurrences in this region, or maybe some surface conductivity anomalies or whatever stuff, if I have time to dive into that. But this is very interesting how this all ties together. And I don't know, I might be totally wrong about this raining blood thing, that sulfur could be just heated so much that it would rain blood, this red stuff from the sulfur. Probably some sulfur dioxide or whatever it is. It might be not just sand mixed up with rain, which turns the snow reddish. There might be something more to the story. But anyway, yes, I think I'll leave it here. Thank you. Bye.